All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
We're outside.
It's nice. This is Chris Libertarian and
Spencer.
Spencer.
Out of the gate.
Nice.
It's like, who are you? Yeah, from Out of the Gates on YouTube.
Awesome.
Chris,
awesome.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Very nice to officially meet you.
I know, we've talked back and forth on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's like brothers in arms here. A lot of the same.
Brothers in arms against the liberal kind.
Well, at least the kind that would have us disarmed and stupid.
And defenseless and suckling off the government teats.
We don't want to do that.
No, thank you. No, thank you. So something major happened in our town yesterday.
Yeah.
And 30 people were injured, I believe. The number's up to 7 now dead.
Yeah.
That includes the shooter, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to everybody listening, there was a shooting. There was a guy that was. There was an attempted stop by the police. Apparently, this guy wasn't using his turn signal, and it seems to me like he used this as his excuse to go to war, because apparently he was loaded down, ready to go.
Yeah, from what I understand from my sources, is this guy had been fired from his job, and he had gone home and taken a firearm that he had, loaded it, probably with as much ammo as he could carry or whatever, and then was heading back to his job in Odessa to commit workplace homicide and kill everybody in there. The only thing that stopped that was his bad driving and the DPS troopers that pulled him over and then were wounded first in this contact. So,
beginning at the first of the timeline there, he was pulled over. He opened up, and it was an AR type rifle, correct?
Right.
Okay. He opened up, hit one of the DPS agents. Was it one or two that had stopped him?
He was shot in the cheek.
Shot in the cheek.
Yeah.
How's he doing? Have you heard anything on him?
He is in stable condition, serious but stable. All three peace officers that were hit are expected to survive. The OPD, Odessa police officer, and the MPD officer that took some shrapnel in the eyes, both expected to make recoveries, non-life-threatening injuries. But that's good news. But the bad news is we lost 6 people to this psycho, and many more wounded, including a 17-month-old little baby girl, who was shot in the face by this idiot.
That's correct. That's right. This guy just took a beautiful weekend and completely trashed it for his own selfish reasons.
And the other thing is, I mean, you really have had to think about this, right? I mean, nobody just goes, I'm going to grab a rifle and go da-da-da. You have been, this has been formatting, and I can't tell you everything that we know, folks, but I do know a lot. And I can tell you the media, let's put it this way. Just like every other media that doesn't fit their narrative, or other story in the media that doesn't fit their narrative, it will quickly go away. But what we can tell you is this guy has a history of being a bad actor. Okay?
That's the word. He's known for violent outbursts. He's known for basically being a dick, right?
And attacking one of my friends. As a matter of fact, I found out later that this young lady had her home invaded by this individual, was beaten and threatenedly almost raped by this individual. So he's been a bad guy for a while. You'll have to excuse my voice today. It's just been a tough couple of days for us here in Odessa, Midland. But this guy was a known. Let's put it this way: authorities knew who this guy was. Whether he got his firearm legally or not, we don't know. If he was a felon, he got it illegally. He broke the law.
So basically, no gun law, no gun purchasing law, or any gun law on the books. If he acquired this gun illegally, could have done anything about this.
No,
absolutely not.
No, if he passed a background check, there's not really anything that you can do, and any law that would make it harder for him would make it exponentially harder for honest people.
Absolutely.
To own a firearm. So there's no gun laws on the books that would actually stop any of this criminal activity. They wouldn't have stopped this guy from deciding he was going to go kill people. It wouldn't have stopped this guy from shooting a DPS officer, law enforcement officers. It wouldn't have stopped this guy from continuing on and shooting innocent people, including children. So there is no law that will make crazy people stop being crazy. There's just not. And to blame the gun is idiocy. It's like, well, the guy built me a cabinet, but his hammer's the fault. I mean, it's his hammer's fault.
Yep. If the cabinet broke 10 years later,
that's right. Cabinet broke, or
pay
you know
the
what?
hammer. Pay
It
the
wasn't
hammer. The
little.
hammer did the work,
Hammer
not the guy.
yeah, I'm going to blame the hammer. Can I sue the hammer? No, you want to sue the carpenter. No. I want to sue the hammer because he used a hammer.
Yep.
It's the hammer's fault.
What would work if? Why don't they just make crime illegal? I don't get it. That would work.
Oh my gosh, what
that
a
would
concept.
fix everything.
I mean, make it illegal. Yeah,
that
sure.
would fix everything.
But see, now you've got people, and I put this on my website last night, ladies and gentlemen. You heard me talk about this, that on my podcast, that no amount of laws are going to fix what's wrong with this society. It just won't. It won't stop these people from doing what they do. And we're noticing a pattern. More and more citizens are noticing a pattern of these mass shootings. And I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not representing anybody. This is just my opinion. But isn't it odd then when one party or one group has a really bad day in the media or a bad week in the media, you can pretty much guarantee there's going to be a mass shooting? Now go back and study, do your research, folks, and see how many times that has happened. We had people predicting this was going to happen, not here necessarily, but there would be outbreaks of this happening this weekend, way earlier in the week because of the news that we were getting from the mainstream media. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm not going to say anything other than that. Do your own research, and you will come to a shocking conclusion that there seems to be a lot more behind this than just a lone wolf shooter.
Yeah. Well, one of the big things about who I am is I do come out and I do say the shit that no one wants to say, but everyone wants to hear.
Do it.
When you have the mainstream Democrats, so I've said this once, I've said it before, regular people who are Democrats, they're good people.
Yep.
They want what's best for everybody. They just don't think things through long term. It's their masters are the ones with the evil plans.
The far left fringe nut jobs, like the Bernie Sanders or the AOC nut jobs, or the deep state Hillary Clintons, because really, if Hillary Clinton would have gotten elected, folks, we would have 16 years, the last 16 years, or 8 years of Barack Obama, culminating in 16 years of the destruction of this country.
Yep.
And I'll tell you my theory about that, but I don't want to interrupt you. I want you to continue on with your thought there.
Well, yeah, so what I was saying is, there was a vague assignment of blame there, and I'll go ahead and I'll say who it is, and we know who it is. It's the Democrats, and it's not the average Democrats. It's not the people that we share stores with or that our kids go to school with their kids. It's not those guys. Those guys, they don't believe in violence for the most part. They don't believe in this stuff. They want to be happy, and we want to be happy, but it's the ones that control them, the ones that they blindly follow, the ones that it's the ones in power are the ones that control these things. And they try to say, oh, these are Trump supporters that do all these shootings and stuff like that. We'll dig a little bit deeper. It's not. Trump supporters, we adopted the libertarian mindset of NAP, the non-aggression pact. We are not the first to put aggression out there. We're not the first to violence. We're damn sure we'll be the ones to defend ourselves. But when it became clear that these are the violent ones, we let them dig their own holes, dig their own graves. We're not the first. We don't throw violence out there. No Trump supporter condones violence.
Nope.
We condone self-defense.
Yep.
But not violence.
And protecting our families and the rights.
Exactly.
And we're not going to let anybody take our rights away.
Exactly.
So if we are marching peacefully and people attack us, then by all means we're going to defend ourselves.
And see what these people on the left don't realize is they need to be careful who they're picking a fight with. We have all the guns, all the ammo. We have the alpha males, they have the soy boys, all that stuff, and it's just through grace that we continue to allow them to be who they are, because we could end it like that.
We could, but again, we're hoping that people are going to wake up, and I think a lot of people are.
They are. There's a lot of walkaway movements.
There's a lot of walkaway movements, but there's also a lot of people that are seeing the patterns now. When we're saying, look, you can expect this on this. And I believe, when Q gets back on, I'm a Q follower.
I am as well.
I do a lot of research about Q.
Well, I didn't start with Q when he started, so now I'm so
didn't
far
either.
behind.
I know, I didn't either.
They'll do the Q revelations, and I'm trying to jot down that number real quick, and it's like, oh my God, how do I find this?
And there's some odd theories out there. Yeah. I mean, there's some weird people. There's the media.
But tell me this: when you sit back and you watch it, it falls into place. It all falls into place. Everything is falling into place, and it's all becoming clear that it's a big plan. That it was exactly what we said earlier. That we let them tie their own nooses. We let them dig their own graves.
We have the servers.
And they're doing it.
We have the servers. Yeah, that's what they're saying. We have the servers. Mm-hmm. And there's been more than one time that we've seen people follow our account that are high up in that administration.
Yeah.
And so we know that they hear us. I think a lot of people are frustrated when they see the news and they see people getting off. They know they've done wrong. It's proven they've done wrong. And yet they're allowed, well, we're not going to press charges.
Yeah.
Now, are you not going to press charges because they're cooperating with a bigger investigation? Or do you have bigger charges you're going to file later down the road? And I think a lot of people are frustrated right now because Q's been off 8chan. They paid the owners of the servers who were babysitting the 8chan servers about $150 million to make them go away. The deep state did. Well, then they had to find another place where they could put their servers up, and that's coming back. And from what I understand, around September 5th, there's going to be some things that are starting to hit. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't tell you what it is because I haven't done enough research.
Gotcha.
But September 5th is the day that
it's supposed to
looks interesting.
Good.
Very, very interesting. Good. But back on this subject of guns, let's talk about red flag laws, okay?
So here's the thing. And then we spoke briefly on this. A lot of people are mad at Trump for this, and it's something that you and I discussed. People are getting mad at Trump because they confuse Trump for a Republican. Now, Trump has very right-leaning views, but he's not a Republican. These are views that he naturally came to on his own, which is even better because he didn't take a side and then adopt their views.
Yep.
Naturally, this is where he leans. Trump, in my opinion, is a very pragmatic classical liberal. Not to be confused with the New Age liberal that is essentially just a Democrat.
BS crazy, yeah.
Yeah, essentially
communist.
Yeah.
I mean, we can call them socialist communists. They're not opposed to that because really what they want to do
for them that's a compliment.
They want to take your money and they want to spend it the way they feel because they don't trust you with it. They don't trust you with your government, with your guns, or with your money.
Exactly.
And they want to take all of that away from you.
Yep. So he's not that type of liberal. He's a classical liberal, which is the best way I could describe it is similar to a libertarian.
JFK, maybe?
Yeah, about like that. An old-style Democrat.
But not the racist kind.
Right, okay? Not that old style.
Not Civil War style. Yeah, let's not go back to a Robert Byrd style old style Democrat.
Not that far back.
Where they were wearing white hoods. No, this guy is more of a New York old-style Democrat.
Yeah.
Okay?
So when he makes decisions, he makes them based off of, like I said, he's pragmatic. He's like, oh, there's a problem, let's fix it.
Right.
He sees the border, he sees an immigration problem, oh, let's fix it.
And he doesn't play politics. It's like
he doesn't.
He
doesn't worry about who's going to get mad about it, or what's this side's going to think, what this side's going to think. He just says, there's a problem, let's fix it. The people crossing the border illegally? Well, hell, let's build a wall. What is the issue here? Makes sense.
It makes sense.
So this is the kind of guy that we're dealing with when it comes to Trump. So when Trump sees gun issues, he doesn't think, okay, what does my Republican background say about this? He just says, how's a quick way to fix this? Now, we may or may not agree with how he fixes things, but one thing I have to give him credit for is he gets shit done.
Yeah.
Trump is, and I've said this before, Trump is the most powerful president we ever had. And it's not because he has any more power than any other president has. It's because he does shit. Yeah. Every week it's a new topic, and he knocks it out.
Because he understands that it's got to get done.
Yep.
And I believe
he is a hard-working son of a gun.
Well, not only that, I believe when you go back and you look at what's all behind that, who is supporting him, who is trying to clean up our government, it goes much deeper than just Trump. People don't understand when we say Q, and the mainstream media says, "Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. These Q people are violent. They're dangerous. That guy on the dam out there in Hoover Dam, boy, that guy was a Q follower. And blah 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 blah." And they're trying to build the narrative that Q, and that's why they want to get. And even Trump, well, not Trump. Let's put it this way: Q said, "Listen, the mainstream media is going to try to get us vilified so they can get us banned off everything."
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they did with Alex.
Yeah, but the comms are up. They've already got plans for that. Okay, it's not a big deal. We've got it. But there's a lot of people that are kind of frustrated going, okay, I see him banning the bump stocks. That pissed me off. Okay, let me put it this way, folks. If you don't know anything about bump stocks, you're not missing anything. Okay, when they say a guy from, and I did the research on this, just tested the yardage. Let's look at about 300 yards. Okay, 300 yards in a crowd from 20-something stories up, maybe 30-something stories up. I think it was 26.
A block down the road, you know.
way down the road.
Yeah.
And then and is able to shoot people from a bump stock. That is like the worst accessory you could ever put on your gun for accuracy.
It's terrible.
It's like, here, I want to just put a big vibrator on my gun and then try to hold it still at 300 yards.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe 2 or 3 vibrators. And I'm not talking the little one. I'm talking a big plug-in industrial kind that you do for bull semen extraction.
You mount it and then you lower the person onto it.
That's right. Let's put it this
way. It's not handheld.
It's like those little ponies you put a quarter in at the stores when you used to be able to ride them in the front. Yeah, just now put your rifle on that and try to shoot something.
Exactly.
That's what a bump stock is.
I mean, they're fun. They're fun if you're going to go out to the range
thing.
and just blow the hell out of
Now,
things.
Chris, do you actually believe somebody with a bump stock was able to shoot that?
I don't. I absolutely
don't either.
So here's the thing about the Vegas shooting, okay? Look at the Vegas shooting and look at the El Paso shooting. Look at all shootings. In one scenario, you have every bit of information as soon as that first round leaves, as soon as that first bullet leaves the barrel, they know who did it, everything about his political affiliation, they know where he's from, everything about him. Vegas shooting, we still don't know what happened. Or, well, we do, but there's not an official story. The official story
is we don't know what happened.
Exactly. And then,
but we got a lot of footage.
And then you have, okay, so one of these is a fake shooting, a stage shooting, I shouldn't say fake. One of them is a stage shooting, one of them isn't. Which one is which? Because they're both not the same. They're both not real shootings, and they're both not staged.
Right.
Taking a real quick break here. Our newest member of the show, Ginger Rose, just walked in.
Hi, Ginger. How are you?
Hello. I'm fine. How are you?
Always
Good.
late. That's all right. Good
That's
to see
okay.
you,
We've
Missy.
been having a good conversation.
Let me get my gluten away from you. I don't want to get you
know, I
glutened
know.
with my brewski here. So, Miss Ginger, this is Spencer.
Hey, it's nice to
I
meet
grew
you.
up listening to Spencer. I've always looked up to him. So, we're out. Just bringing into what we're talking about was the shootings that had happened and how a big thing that we're talking about right now is Trump and where he stands on a lot of these things and why he has the stances that he has. We kind of pulled away from the topic, but that's why we have an hour plus to talk. So
what we were talking about is red flag laws that, when Trump supported the bump stocks, that wasn't, people were hacked off about it, but it really wasn't a firearm. It wasn't even, it's not something that you would add to your gun if you wanted any kind of accuracy, which also threw us into the topic of the Las Vegas shooting, where there's footage out there where even the official story is we don't know what happened. Yet, you have reports of people's cell phone videos being deleted off their phones.
Yep.
We have video that got out and is still running around where you see people on the ground shooting people on the ground.
Yeah.
You have video of people, let's say security people, removing a Arab national prince out the front doors of that particular casino. So it adds a lot of mystery and intrigue, and no wonder people are spouting conspiracy theories.
Well,
because it just doesn't add up.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is one type of shooting has gobs and gobs of information, and one type of shooting just can't. No one knows anything, and one has to be real, and one can't be. You know what I mean? And
If there's a narrative, are you saying that the narrative is already planned?
If it is, it may be
If
so.
the narrative fits.
Which one is fake? Which one is real? This is another, as far as the shooting that we had, we finally put all the pieces of the puzzle together, it seems. There might be still some more information out there. We don't know. They just raided the guy's home today, didn't they?
I believe so.
And,
Now, I believe he had listed 15 residences. That's why they weren't sure and they didn't have the name down at first. So this guy, here, from my side, from my investigations, when somebody has that many residences, they're involved in something very dark. And I can tell you, he's not a white Christian conservative.
No.
Let me put it this way. He's not a Trump supporter. He's not a Christian.
Well, let's officially say who he is.
Okay. This guy, from what we can tell, and from the records that we were able to pull up, this guy is not a Buddhist. Some people want to go, well, there's a page that says he's not a Buddhist. He listed his own religion as Wiccan, pagan, or you can go Satanist if you want to. Let's just cut to the chase. So this guy was into the occult and a practicing Wiccan. Next thing, he listed his political views as Democrat socialist. Now, I didn't add the socialist to it. I'm just saying that's what he listed his stuff as.
So something about that. The El Paso shooter, there was a lot of mixed information about when they pulled his social media accounts. There was said that they scrubbed them and changed them. Mm-hmm. The original, and the stories of what originally could have been, those could have been fabricated as well. But originally, he was said to be an outspoken Bernie bro and all this stuff too, and that could have been made up. I don't think it was.
What other shooting has disappeared off the radar?
Let me see. There was
Dayton.
The Dayton.
Now
that was the big one.
That
happened at the same time, and it's completely quiet. And that was an outspoken Bernie bro.
Yeah, well, not only Bernie, but the little Pocahontas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was a big supporter of her. So when you have, hello, we just had a dove fly by. See ya.
Oh, buddy, bye.
Bye. Come back. Come back when it's hunting season.
Yeah.
Oh, it is hunting season. Oh, gummit.
Throw your shoe at him.
There you go. Not the phone. But what we're seeing is they want to say, all these white Christian conservatives. I dealt with somebody online the other day. No, this morning about that. And I said, could you maybe pull up, a few of those for me? Mm-hmm. I'd like to see the evidence, and then I want to show you the evidence of what I've been able to pull up. So what I can tell you right now is this guy is going to disappear. This shooting will disappear, but the gun control narrative it's all about the guns. It's all about the guns. It's Midland, Odessa. It's all about the guns. This is the most, I can tell you right now, it's not just the guns. The guns didn't plan to go and kill everybody that he could at his workplace. The gun didn't plan to do all these things. And whether he would have had it or not, he could have just as easily driven that car that he had into crowds of people.
Yeah. And when I see us driving through parking lots, he could have just mowed them over.
Right. And what would you have been able to do? Not a damn thing.
Not a damn
so thing. when you want to blame the gun, just please understand, we don't want to be part of your narrative here. We'd rather grieve. We don't want to be a political pawn in your stupid anti-gun machine. And if you do that, I hope that you... Let me just say
that you don't have a very pleasant day.
That I hope that you don't do that. Let me just put it that way. Very proud of our first responders. I can tell you here,
absolutely,
those people need to be given the highest praise. I also want to give high praise to one media guy who is my brother. Mm-hmm. I love this guy like my brother. His name is Jay Hendricks, and he works at CBS 7.
Jay did amazing. He did not run away until they told him to, and thank God he kept his audio feed going.
Yeah, that guy right there, when they said we may have somebody phoned in an active shooter to the Music City Mall in Odessa, where their studios are located. And instead of just saying, see ya, bye, he stayed there, and he kept letting everybody know what was going on. That was the epitome of who he is as a person and who he is as a professional.
Yes.
And I love Jay. Like I said, his family is like my family, and I just couldn't be more prouder.
Yeah, Jay did awesome. And growing up as a local, and as far back as I can remember, Jay has always been on the news. Mm-hmm. And when I'm getting my news, and if it's Jay, I listen.
Right.
As opposed, we've made it clear there's a few news groups out there that we don't really care for a hell of a lot.
I saw a lot of that yesterday too.
But I like Jay a lot. He's always on point.
Now, I was out of town and I had zero service. So when I was coming back in, and as soon as I got service, the alerts started coming in. Yeah. And so I still am not completely clear as to what exactly happened. What I do know is it does immediately change the dynamic of the city in itself, and even you yourself, or I don't know how you guys feel, but you're driving and you're thinking, no, people were just driving, people were just doing their regular thing,
living their life, being normal Saturday.
And you try to stay away from conspiracy theories, or I do, because I like to stick to facts. But at the same time, you look at all of the timing of the shootings, and you look at the immediate blame, the finger pointing, and where it is and what people are wanting. And like you say, it's typically the blame is directed towards the conservative Republican,
or a president. It's his response.
Yeah,
It's his policies
because Trump
that caused
did everything, racism, racism. But that's typically never where the blame lies.
Yeah.
So,
well, we were we could probably do a recap of what happened. We had
and we can start the timeline completely from the beginning, because I don't think we actually officially did that.
Right.
So they're okay. So a big problem was
the day before, I believe, or a few hours before, even before the traffic stop, this individual was terminated from their workplace.
Okay.
They drove back home to get a firearm, an AR-style rifle. Then they started heading back. The only thing that stopped him from reaching there was that he was pulled over on I-20 south of Midland by a pair of DPS officers, which he immediately, even before they stopped, swung around and shot the driver in the face with an AR-15 round. A .223 round going through your face, through the windshield first, is going to splatter, it's going to come apart, and then the shrapnel will come out from there. So his partner is probably on the radio saying, "Officer down," given a brief description of the vehicle. The vehicle's taken off. Now, a lot of people say, well, there was multiple shooters. They reported multiple. It's the fog of war. When you don't know, when somebody has changed vehicles and now you've got somebody shooting out of a mail truck and you've already been looking for a different type of vehicle, okay, well then there's two different shooters. No, or maybe there's three, because somebody said there was an F-150 truck that was in a high-speed chase, and then they busted some guy over here. Let's put it this way, folks. There was one shooter. He traded vehicles and then was killed by police in front of a Synergy Cinema. The guy in the F-150 truck was not involved. It was a separate incident. He picked a very, 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 very bad time.
See, I gotta admit,
to do something stupid, because he could have as easily ended up dead.
Absolutely, and not only that. Okay, I want to say I was part of the group of people saying, "Hey, there's more than one shooter," but
we all were, because that's what we were told.
Exactly. And we were told to begin with, there's multiple shooters. So every time we'd see something going on, we would say, this has to be one of them. So I was driving, and this is actually a funny story. I was driving when we thought everything was done for the day. I was driving to go get some food, and I was on 22nd Street heading west, about to hit West County. I see a group at San Jacinto Park having like a little birthday party. And I'm like, these guys are crazy. I pull in there and say, hey, y'all know that there's supposedly a bunch of active shooters, something going on right in there. They give me this really cocky, we're fine, we got it, we can handle ourselves. I said, okay. Sorry to bother y'all. And I got back in my car and I drove away. From the it's not even 1,000 yards, maybe 1,000 feet from the parking lot at SJ to the 22nd and West County Road streetlight. 15 cop cars hauled ass past us, chasing this guy. And a few of them turned around and went down 22nd West towards West Side Walmart. I'm not sure what happened there.
Everybody down. And then, somebody cover the cake.
And then they turned around and they came back and they almost hit me. That guy almost hit me in the blue F-150. So, and then at least 10 of those cop cars chased him going eastbound on 22nd.
So if you'd have thought that was a shooter, you carry, right?
Yeah, so that's something I wanted to... If I look down to send a text, because I am the kind of assholes that'll text at a stoplight, and I looked up, and he's turning and hauling ass past me. But if I was paying enough attention, I would have just crept right out in front of him. Because if he's making a turn, he's slowed down significantly enough that it won't cause major damage or hurt me.
Plus, you're the hero if you stop the bad guy.
Absolutely. And we all want hero status.
You know what? I would like to be. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, it would be great.
If I would have been out there and I could have got a shot at that guy.
Oh yes.
I'd have taken it.
And it haunts me.
Which is why I tell people, especially after this El Paso thing, because it is Texas and everyone assumes that everybody's already carrying and going to go gun crazy and shoot crazy and shoot everybody anyway. But it's like I tell them, the key is not to take away everyone else's guns. The key is to make sure that we have guns and we know how to use them. That way, when somebody comes in and does something like that, then you have someone who can turn around and stop it immediately.
Exactly.
Because that's what I'm thinking. Let us be able... I know we have the right to conceal carry. I know it takes a lot. Well, do it. Let's do it. Let's carry.
Well, there's a lot of people that have concealed carry, but they don't carry. Now,
they don't.
So why don't they carry, Chris?
Well...
What are the reasons?
So, I don't know
officially. Don't plan on using them.
Okay, they get too much gun, and it's too heavy, and it's too hot in the summertime.
So you got to carry
And
that
you
45, that 1911, when a 22 will do the job just
And
as
you
well.
really don't. And you really don't plan on using them. You know.
So
People, for the most part.
They haven't made it a lifestyle choice.
Exactly.
And it has to be a lifestyle choice.
like
It
wearing your
cannot-
watch. Do
it
you wear
can't
your
be
watch every day, Spencer?
every day?
Every day. That's a lifestyle
I
choice.
carry
So
every
you carry.
day.
I carry every
I
day as
carry
well.
around my house sometimes.
Yep.
If it's been if we expect trouble.
Well, I
in the
mean, I like to
neighborhood,
go around the house in my chonies and my cowboy boots and my single action 6-shooter spinning around,
Yeah.
saying "Sheriff's in town, baby." But
well, everywhere in my
I
house.
go around in my little
No matter.
Pocahontas.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hope
Arrow.
really. You have
Arrow.
pictures of that.
but at
I
least,
like to
at
see
least
that.
your
That'd
arm
be
is
kinda
very
cool.
arrow.
You
So
just
so
made the podcast very
if
interesting.
I had crept down for this guy to stop the chase, I would have thought that was one of the active shooters. The pistol
If you-
I carry has a 30-round magazine. It's one
So
of
if
the very
you-
few pistols that
That's a
carry.
great pistol, by the way.
Yes, it is. It's my favorite one I've
And
ever
it's-
owned.
it will
And,
do the
and,
job.
and it's actually a 22 Magnum. And now anyone that wants to talk shit about a 22 Magnum does not realize the terminal velocity of a 22 Magnum. That it's basic. E equals MC squared will tell you how hard a bullet will hit, and a 22 Magnum will ruin your life real quick.
Nobody wants to. Okay, if you don't think a 22 Magnum will hurt you, volunteer to get shot by one.
Yeah, just one time.
I've never had anybody
Just one time.
volunteer.
Just one time.
And you know what? If you have 30 rounds, you can drain a bucket pretty quick with that.
Pretty quick. And and thinking back, I was like, dang it, I wish I was paying more attention. I would just crept right out in front of him and just emptied right into the driver's seat.
But see, that was grace on that guy.
That
was God looking
because
out for
I
him.
was some idiot. That was not an active
He
shooter.
could, but he could have got killed because he picked the very worst time.
Absolute worst
in,
time.
in the city in the
Okay,
city's history to do
officially-
something stupid.
Officially, this guy right here in the blue F-150, I believe he committed a petty crime like a beer run or something, and then he hit a cop car, rammed a cop car to get away from them.
Right. So technically, it's a felony.
It became a felony at that point.
And you could, and in Texas, if a citizen, any citizen, and a peace officer, doesn't matter, if you see someone commit a felony, you can perform a citizen's arrest.
See, I would not be able to live with myself if I shot some fucking kid for doing a beer run that was trying to run from the cops.
Right.
That kid needs to go spend 6 months in jail. He doesn't need.
no,
he doesn't
I'd
need.
be- let's make it 2 years.
I would be
2
able
years
to,
is fine.
I would be able
but
to live with
30
myself.
rounds to the face is not.
No, but I
is
would
not-
be able to live with myself. I mean,
Our
like,
dove is back.
bad-
Oh well, he's gone again.
bad timing, but it's not. It's the same thing because I back the blue. I do, and it reminds me of all of those incidents where people are shot and all of a sudden they're a victim, but you realize they were in the process of or just finished committing a crime.
Yeah.
I mean, so wrong place, wrong time. I would be able to live with myself. I mean, I'd be like, oh shit, oops.
If
and I'd be able
Oops.
to
If that was
live
if
You're
that,
bad.
myself.
You're bad.
If it had been what we originally thought with multiple active shooters, and that was an active shooter, I could not. have
Nobody
been
would convict
more-
you in this city for that.
No.
But
But could you live with yourself?
living with myself with killing a guy that did a beer run that was some
And committed a
supposedly it was
felony.
youngster. At that
He
point,
could, what if he'd hit a cop
Absolutely.
when he was out of his car?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Terrible,
but you
terrible
didn't know
things, yeah.
you didn't know any of that. So God looked.
I
out
knew
for
there
you.
was an active shooter.
See, I look out.
And that's the only time that I would consider getting in the way to put it into it.
Mm-hmm.
If it hadn't been for the active shooters, and what if you got 1,000 yards down the road, and another guy decided, I'm putting into this.
Yeah.
It's
And,
about,
you
it's
know-
about survival. Like, I'll share a
Yeah.
funny story with you guys, and it might seem off topic, but I think it's kind of pertinent. So I'm at the lake, right? And I go with some friends. Well, we're going to wait for other people who are coming, but we go early. I go early with one person. We try to open up the cabins. The code is not working, and we're knocking for like 45 minutes. We have no signal. There's, the main cabin, main office. We're knocking, and nothing. So I don't know why I do this, and I don't even know if this is legal. But I'm like, well, maybe if we mess with the power, we can reset something, and we'll be able to lock something. And oops. So also, I'm thinking if someone is in that cabinet, that might wake them up, and they will get out here. Sure enough, we do that, and this guy comes out cussing. You mother effers and blah, blah, blah. I'll kick your asses. Don't touch the power. I'm like, you were in there the whole time? Like, we're just trying to get into the cabins we rented already. This is kind of crazy, right? So, fast forward, we get settled, and the air conditioning won't work, and it's very hot.
Well, because you turned off all the damn brakes?
Well, but we've already turned everything back
Oh,
on, right?
okay.
So one is working, but in
Okay.
one it's not. So I'm like, great. This one has a faulty Like part of
Faulty
the
using.
electricity is working, part of it's not, or maybe it's something we did. But he said, "Don't touch it again. He's going to kick our ass." So we're going to be proactive and just ask him, "Hey, can you mess with this again for us?" Blah blah blah. So I'm like, I'm going to go talk to him because my friend's already like, you know, I'm going to handle this like a man. No, just wait.
I got
Wait. Hold my beer. No,
an
no, I've
alpha.
seen this. I've seen this movie.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I'll go get these guys. So I go, and there's other humans there with an accent that is not American. Maybe Yugoslavian, maybe.
Little
I'm not
Chechnyan.
sure.
It's the guys from John Wick.
So they come out, and they're like, "What's going on?" And I tell them. So they go in there. I go wait in the car for a little bit. And I see the other guys walking off, and I don't see my friend. Walk back in, he's not there.
Ooh.
Nowhere to be found. 30 minutes goes by, I'm freaking out. This seems like the beginning of a horror film, right?
Right.
So now I have a gun with me. I'm a knife person, so I have several knives with me.
Sweet.
But I don't have keys to a vehicle. And now I have the guy with the accent saying, "I take you to Signal." And I'm like,
No, thank you. I've seen enough horror flicks. No, thank
no,
you.
you will not.
Yeah.
So go into
Typically not the
I
Russian
go
guy,
into
but it could be.
survival mode,
Uh-huh.
and I see some people camping at another site, and I'm like, I'm out. I will go to this family, and I'm like, I tell them the situation, and they're like, "So what are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna stick with you guys
Yeah.
until."
So they'll kill us all.
Well,
Sorry.
we're either dying as a group, or I'm like, I'm not leaving until I either find out where my friend is or we find Signal. And if you guys get annoyed and can find some cops, go for it.
Yeah.
Get some cops and let's get them annoyed at me. Let's get me the hell out of here.
Better to
Right?
be
I
safe.
don't care.
Yep.
So to me, like, I'm in that whole mode of survival of the fittest. It's what are you going to do to survive?
Your bad choices don't mean that I'm going to give my life because I'm going to give you the
Because-
benefit of the doubt.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's I guess that's the best way to
yeah,
put
I'm
it.
not going with you to your cabin. You've already yelled and threatened. Your
I
friend
mean,
has already threatened us. Y'all
Yeah.
sat there and
I'm
watched-
sorry you ran out of
watched
gas
us.
on this weird country road with a strange accent, and you look like the guy from John Wick.
I don't
But
know
I'm
if
not
your strange accent
going
makes you a
with
bad
you.
person,
You
but
will not kill my dog.
That's right. I like my dog, and I will kill you.
I will kill you first for my dog. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of where you go at that point
Yeah.
for all of it. So it's like, sorry, guy. In the
And
blue
that's
cap.
really what it comes down to, folks, is that I think we've gotten complacent.
Yeah.
We become, help me with the word. We become,
complacent fits exactly.
It
right.
is.
I think we
become lazy
We're
with
not
it.
expecting anything to happen when it can happen at any second. And we apologize for the wind, folks. The wind just kind of kicked up now. We've got a thunderstorm.
It's changing directions on
Yeah.
me.
Feel the rain? You smell it?
Yep.
Oh,
smells
yeah.
delightful.
Now, folks, we're never going to complain about the rain. So what we are going to do is move some stuff. You'll hear me moving some stuff, but I'm going to put this to where you won't hear the wind noise as much. And but I love the smell of rain.
Yep.
That's one thing we love in West Texas. And
Absolutely, it's a blessing.
It
It's
is
an
a
absolute
blessing.
blessing every single time it rains.
Is the waitress gonna come out here?
I think it's only one person working. I'll tell you what, y'all continue with this.
Okay.
Hey, how about you go through the timeline? Because
Okay.
a big issue is a lot of things happened at one time, and no one actually sat back and said, "This is what all happened. This was done by this person, this person." It was not a group. It was not
it was not multiple shooters.
exactly.
All right, let me
And-
pull this up right quick. There.
Okay, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get some drinks.
I think you should go get some things.
I'll take. I just want to run on ice.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and I will give you the timeline as I know it. Actually, this is, even they picked this up pretty much all over the world, folks, as they do, because the world's agenda is to basically tell us, you guys are a problem.
Right.
So, and even this is kind of off. It's saying that the police initiated the traffic stop at 3:25. It was actually 3:13. At I-20 mile marker 131 between Odessa and Midland. It was actually south of Midland, but just just south of the Loop 250 west. Driver of a gold Toyota pickup opened fire on the officers, hitting one of the DPS officers, troopers. The shooter fled westbound on the interstate, shooting at civilians on the Loop 338 and I-20 in Odessa. Between 3:30 and 4 p.m., the shooter goes on a rampage in Odessa, shooting bystanders all over the city, being a major dick. There are 13 separate shooting scenes. I think that's been increased to 15 separate shooting scenes. At 3:57, Midland Police issued their first alert of a possible active shooter at the Odessa Home Depot. At 4:20, police issued an alert that the shooter hijacked a mail truck. That by doing so, he shot the young lady who was a postal worker and killed her. Beautiful young lady. This guy, folks, to have this type of mentality, you have to be evil. There's not crazy. I mean, there's part crazy, but there's also evil. There's something deep, dark, wrong with this individual.
And it didn't just happen overnight. This is something that there had to be some kind of clue within the people around him that this was going on.
There was a lot of things. There was a lot of people. I mean, people. From what I understand, law enforcement knew who this guy was. So at 4:30, police cornered the stolen van at the Synergy Theater in East Odessa, and in a hail of gunfire, about 40 different shots being fired, that person is killed by police. Now, they went on, the conspiracy theorists want to say, well, wait a minute, you know, it said he died in Midland Memorial. Okay, in Texas and just about everywhere else, police are not able to call someone dead. In other words, you have to call out a coroner, an ME, or justice of the peace. In Texas, in Midland, Odessa, it's justice of the peace. And he isn't dead until the justice of the peace says he's dead. So they transport.
That's what the doctors call time of death.
That's what they call time of death.
Yep.
So they call the justice of the peace. That individual was probably handcuffed, bloodied, and then hauled off.
Yeah.
And when
I don't think he had much of a body left after.
That's okay. I hope he's enjoying the fires of hell right now. I hope he's roasting and screaming his eyes out.
Yeah.
I don't have any pity for pieces of crap like this.
No, absolutely.
I think our heroic law enforcement officers, our heroic first responders, our medical teams, our hospital teams should be giving great kudos, but especially our law enforcement officers that ushered that son of a bitch to hell.
Yep.
And you know what? And they knew he was armed, heavily armed, and they still went toe to toe with him.
And shoot him up.
That's right.
Yep.
So in Texas, don't expect to be treated just like, oh well, let's just give him a hug.
You know
It's not
what?
hug a thug here, folks.
Okay, so what would you want? You want to rum on the rocks?
Yeah.
We're taking a drink break now.
Yeah.
Yes, the parties.
But you know, one thing that we need to make sure that they get their credit are the doctors and the surgeons who are working long, hard to save these people's lives and to get them off of that critical status and get them back in stable condition.
You bet.
To repair people's heavily damaged bodies. You know,
Fantastic
and a lot of people overlook the doctors, but the doctors are working long hours right now saving these lives.
You bet they are.
Let's take the doctors, let's take the paramedics, and the paramedics. A lot of times they get their praises skipped as well, but the paramedics are right there. A lot of times it's still dangerous conditions to
Well,
get.
here's
And
the other thing.
families mourning. There are
Absolutely.
You have
families
15
mourning.
scenes of shootings. Now, do you think you've got 15 ambulances to spare? Probably not. Do you think you have 15? I mean, let's multiply by 4 or 5. So you've got like 120 people that you can spare, that medical workers. They have
No,
people
and
coming
you-
out of the hospitals to go help.
Yes, because
And-
you've been to the emergency rooms. I mean, they are already packed as it is. It's
Yeah.
not like they're just sitting there doing nothing. So you have a lot of things going on. You have a lot of people who have to respond. And you have a lot of families right now that are hurting and
Yeah.
confused. And workers, too. I know a young man who works in the vicinity of one of the shootings. And he said today, I went to work. I'm going to work, but I just feel strange. It just feels so strange.
Yeah, because it's different now.
Yeah, it's just different, and it does. It changes everything.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe something good could come out of this, but we don't need, like I said before, we don't need politicians. We don't need Democratic candidates standing on the dead bodies of our family members and victims to
No.
make a
It's what they
political
do.
point.
It's what they do as soon as
I know it's what they do, but we don't need it. And I think we should react with as much anger and verbal force as possible to make this stop, because really there's nothing that would have stopped this individual. He could have used a car. He chose to use a rifle.
And
okay,
a car.
and a car.
He chose to.
So to say, it's all about the guns, we're sick of this crap.
Yeah.
In Texas, we're very sick. Now, on the other side, now I think we need to look at what we can do to prevent anything like this from happening again. People, if you have a concealed carry license, you better be able to carry, and you better start making it a habit. Second of all, don't take anything for granted. Keep your head on a swivel. We live in a different world than we used to live in. You can't stay in condition white forever. There are several different alert levels, and you probably, while you're out in public, should always be on condition yellow.
Yeah.
You don't want trouble, you're not expecting trouble, but you're aware and you're ready to respond if there is trouble. Most of these victims were driving around in their vehicles, and this guy just shot them. They weren't expecting somebody to pull up beside them and shoot them. It's not their fault that this psycho decided to do that, but the world is changing, and we've got to change with it. So,
and also start
get training.
with the kids. Yeah, start with the kids training. And
teaching people that guns is bad is the stupidest thing on the planet.
You teach them fear, and then nobody wants to touch them, and they don't know what to do with them. And you need people who know.
They get a morbid fascination with them. Oh, I heard it's evil.
So I need to, and I'm going to scare people.
Yes, I heard drugs are bad. I'm not find out for myself.
Right.
So I was
training somebody up in the way they should go, and then they won't depart from it later.
Yeah,
it's a biblical truth.
If I may, I know also a big thing, and people, this is not popular, I know, but also with your children, teach them the difference between reality and fantasy.
Please.
There are a lot of games, a lot of shooting games, and it desensitizes a lot of people who don't know the difference between right and wrong. So rather than desensitizing them and getting ready for something heroic, it's desensitizing them and getting ready for something cowardly.
It's just another bot, as far as they're concerned. And folks, I want to throw out a book for people that say, well, video games aren't responsible. Shut up. Just shut up. You haven't done any research. You don't know.
Right.
You're just saying that. Maybe it didn't affect you that way, but there's a great book called On Killing. And what it talks about is the way that we train our soldiers, and there's always a mechanism. They're trained to kill. Why? Because they're soldiers. That's what they do. Now, do we spend enough money with our soldiers coming back to help them with their PTSD and everything? No, we don't. But while they're in the military and while they're doing their jobs, they are told, do not kill unless you are ordered to. There's always a safety switch there. When you got a kid that's been raised from birth playing Xbox and let's play Call of Duty, and you shut up if you're disagreeing with me, shut up.
Shut up your thoughts right now.
Shut up your thoughts.
I agree. Shut those thoughts up.
Listen, if you raise a child with no stops, with no safeties, guess what? There's a better chance, it doesn't mean they'll ever pull the trigger, but there's a better chance that if they do, they won't stop.
That's right.
Yep.
So please, that's part of it. That's not all of it.
Correct.
But that's part of it.
The thing is, we can't look at these games and say it doesn't have a negative factor. Okay, let's just say it doesn't have a negative factor.
I know what I talk like when a 12-year-old kills me. There's things that come out of my mouth that I go, oh my God, is that me? I know it's negative.
Yeah, you do know, because it puts you in a frame of mind. I play them, I put on my playlist.
You should hear my wife. Oh my gosh. Her potty mouth comes out.
Yeah.
But see, that's, and to think that's not affecting
very
you.
best scenario,
we are of the
does not
animal
help.
kingdom. We are, and there's an innate kill switch in us. What makes us progress, as humans, is the ability to stop.
Sin nature, maybe sometimes. Sometimes we can stop.
My dad raised me in a very pro-gun home,
know the difference.
and he never hid guns from me, and he never had this culture that guns were negative. And when I wanted to fool with the guns, I said, "Hey, Dad, let's take the guns out." Okay, let's take them out. We'll clean them up. We'll sit around on the room floor.
But he also told you safety, didn't he?
Absolutely. And we'd go shoot, and then we'd come home, and we'd clean them, and we had a really good gun culture. And coming up as a child, I knew exactly where he kept the guns in his room, and I was never tempted to go full with them because there wasn't this taboo behind them. This wasn't this.
Oh, don't touch those.
Yeah, it was never there.
Because that's going to put it.
In fact, he would say, "They're here. Come get them if you need them."
As a kid, let me tell you something. As a kid, I was like the Houdini of getting into crap. There was nothing you could hide from me. There was nothing you could lock away from me that I wouldn't find the key, the combination, or where you hid it.
Just an FYI, that's all children.
Yeah, you hide.
But I was especially good.
There you go.
I was especially good at it.
It's when you create this thing, this culture, like they're bad and you're not allowed to touch them. When you tell somebody they're not allowed to do something, they want to do it.
Yeah.
Just right straight up, that's what they want to do. Yeah. And we had the culture at the house with my dad. He's like, they're here if you need them. This is where they're at. This is where the ammo's at. This,
and you have to have a game plan.
That's
have
right.
a game plan.
Yeah.
Now let's throw this out there. When you have a culture on the left that says they want our president to be killed or assassinated. When you have a culture on the left that allows the shootings in Chicago,
Not just allows, but calls for it.
calls for it.
They call for violence.
They create not only they call for violence, and they support groups like Antifa.
Yes.
Now, many people forgot that Antifa said they were going to El Paso
Yes.
just
Yes.
1 week
Absolutely.
before these shootings,
Before the
and then somebody leaves from the Dallas area and drives to El Paso and commits these shootings. Now, there's multiple shooters, they say. Let me just say something here. That has all the earmarkings of something that wasn't just let's go do this, because of the multiple witnesses saying there were multiple shooters, and this guy's left holding the bag going, but, and it's a classical operation where you have somebody that says, okay, let's go find a dummy, and let's get that pawn, and let's put them in a scenario, and we're going to be their
And
buddies,
this happens.
and then leave them hanging.
Yep.
They're holding the bag.
This is what happens, and they've been doing this since the Democrats really fired shit up. Like, what is it, 12 years ago or so? It starting back with like Aurora and Sandy Hook and all this stuff. Where you watch it, I'll tell you this: I watched Sandy Hook while it was happening, and the official story, does not match at all what I watched on TV as it happened. And
That's funny. The same thing about 9/11, but I digress.
Absolutely. So all this
people
stuff started
get
around
very
one time.
Angry about that, but
Sure they do.
there are just so many things, and it's hard, especially when you do see like.
Because I was raised by the greatest generation. My dad fought in World War II, and they said they would never believe that the government turned into what it turned into. But now I can tell you, knowing what we know now and the secrets that are coming out, oh, they're damn well able to do it.
The government,
When you give people syphilis, or you experiment on children with radiation,
which has all happened, and it's all
this is all documented.
Yeah.
That they killed people. They gave our own people radiation poisoning. They seeded the tobacco fields with tailings from the uranium mines, and they wonder why all of a sudden did cigarettes become cancerous? Well, because you're smoking radioactive cigarettes.
Yep.
That's really freaking easy.
So
I'm sorry, you got me on my thing.
no,
but
but
go
that
back to
is
the thing.
true.
To go off of what you just said, remember when Democrats were anti-government, when they swore up and down our government was evil, and they want and I have Democrats that when 9/11 happened were saying it was all Bush, it was all an inside job. Those same Democrats are now saying, no, our government would never do anything wrong to us. We just let our government take care of us. They're swearing that our government is not against
And
us
it's
now.
all been about two sides playing each other, except for, and I believe this probably happened with Reagan. They didn't expect Reagan to get elected, and they didn't expect Trump to be elected.
Yep.
And now we've got Trump, and now they're scared to death, because now we go back to Q, we go back to the plan, and I try to calm everybody down. People are frustrated right now because they see this happening. Believe me, this is the death throes of the deep state,
Yep.
Yeah.
It is.
and they're going to get it.
Yep.
And I think God has put people in place to expose it. This is a time of revealing. I'm going to tell you, folks, I'm a Christian. I don't apologize for it. And I'm going to tell you right now that we are in a season like Joseph had, where Joseph was given a dream, or actually Pharaoh was given a dream. Joseph interpreted it. There were 7 good years and there were 7 lean years. And we're in the 7th. We've been given a grace period. We didn't get Hillary Clinton. If we had this nation would be burning right now.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And there's a lot of different reasons for that, namely because they gave all our secrets away to the Chinese and the Russians.
Yep.
You don't go from a 3rd generation fighter that looks like an old MiG-23 and then jump to a 5th generation fighter that looks like our stealth, our F-22s or whatever.
Exactly.
So they've been, and this goes back to the Bushes, Bush Senior.
Yeah.
Clinton, every one of these people, Hillary servers, they gave Chinese accent. Okay, I'm going to skip all that because that's a whole different podcast, folks.
Yep.
This is all documented. It's all going
But
to come
let's
out.
just make it known we are on the same page,
We're on
and
the
this
same
is all
page.
documented.
I'm like, yep.
Right.
You
It's
can
all out
find
there.
the truth to all of this.
So here's what's going to happen. We're going to start to see this. We've seen the revealing, and now I believe in the last 3 to 4 years we're going to see justice. And I think that a lot of the red flag stuff is which we were going off of, that you have somebody that kind of has to play politics, but it's never going to pass because it won't go past the Senate.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say,
As far as
well, if I
federally,
was
it won't.
president, I'd do an executive order. Well, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever executive order. Now, who's going to enforce it?
Right.
Because I
Exactly.
promise you have a whole bunch of Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and peace officers, and everybody else who swore to uphold the Constitution. They're not going to follow an illegal order. They just won't. It's not the 3%ers. I mean, that's a whole different thing. If you were going to violate your Constitution, you're a traitor in the first place.
Yeah. But here's the problem, even this with traitors and all of this, and blaming and the government and all of this. Okay, humans and civilians need to take accountability for their own community and what's going on.
Amen.
Stop looking to the government to answer.
Exactly.
To
Personal
solve
responsibility.
your problem.
Exactly.
Take personal responsibility, because if we all get along, the government has less to do, you see, because then there's less people fighting, there's less people killing each other, there's more peace.
Well,
But
when,
see,
if
that's-
you have
and
half
they
of America
feed
begging
off of-
for a bigger, stronger government, it makes it really.
And
Well,
it's
and
really
why? Because it's lazy.
Because
it is
they're
lazy,
pussies.
and they don't get it.
There's
They don't
absolutely
get
no
that
other way to word it. They're pussies.
But they don't get it. By asking for that, they're going to end up seeing some
Slaves.
of their rights stripped away, and
I
they're
wrote-
barely starting to see it. And they're like, "What's
They'll lose
going
liberty
on?
for free
This
shit.
is
Yeah.
what you asked."
And
No,
when
thank you.
I wrote this
is
like
for
2
what
weeks
you
ago, I
asked.
said, there are some people that want to be slaves. They have to be slaves. Why? First of all, they don't want to take
It's
personal
easy.
responsibility.
It's easy to be
easy,
slaves.
but it's also evil, because not only are you subjecting yourself to a power and giving
But
up
you
your
don't
rights,
ever have to
you're
take
doing it for your
accountability.
freaking children
To
and
everyone else,
everyone
too.
else.
But
Taken
then you
away
never
there.
have to take accountability either.
Yep.
So they're never
Well,
taking
you won't have your freedom.
accountability.
It comes down to
They're
personal
always
accountability.
blaming.
You're absolutely
And
right.
it's victim mentality, and then they breed it. Victim
Yep.
mentality
So
after victim
I
mentality.
have a friend, and he lives up
You
north.
have a friend?
I do.
He has one. I have one friend too.
So,
I might have one.
so, and the way that I came across this guy is when I was much younger, I was one of these really outspoken people for police accountability. I felt like all cops were evil and stuff. This is when I had the blinders on, because I used to be a liberal. I used to be a Democrat, and I had these blinders on that cops were evil. And I found this guy because he was an Uber driver, and he uploaded a video where he was giving cops a hard time that were trying to pull him out of the car. He was right. The cops were wrong in that instance, which only made his video even more popular. So I found this guy, and this guy's actually really smart. He's really funny, and we get along 99% of the time. But he was talking today. He was like, well, what happened to all the good guys with the gun? We'll stop the bad guys with the gun. Just ran his mouth. And I told him, hey, man, can you shut up about this for a while? Is this the right time? Can we wait till the bodies turn cold at least, man, before you start with this shit? And he's like, no, now's the time to talk about it. I said, okay, you uploaded a video a few months back of 3 guys. Y'all were standing, you and your girlfriend were standing in the parking lot, and they came up to you, and one of the guys clocked you. Your defense was to pull out your phone and start recording. What if they turned and harmed the woman that you took an oath to God to defend? And he's like, well, that's just kind of what happens. I was like, you took an oath to God to defend her. That's your job to defend her. I said, okay. He goes, well, I don't care. I'll never carry a gun. I said, well, can I, when I'm out in public and I have my 2 little princesses, my 2 and 4-year-old with me, who are completely defenseless without me, can I please exercise my right? Is that okay with you?
Because I don't mind if you don't carry. I'm going to.
I said, or is the fact that you sit down to pee more important than me being able to defend my children, my 2 defenseless little princesses? And he was like, well, you carry, but I mean, and there's no
Hey,
There's
some
no
of us who
defense.
sit
There's
down
no
to
defense to
pee
that.
are more alphas than
It's
that.
personal responsibility. It is all about it.
The way he reacted to that situation says everything there is to say about him.
Yep.
When he's taking a punch to the face and he takes out his phone to record them doing it, so he can go tattletale on them instead of pulling out a weapon and saying, "Nope, get away from me," because there'll be 3 dead bad guys. Said you were clearly the good guy there.
Yeah, and you would have
If
had
3
every
guys are
right.
jumping on you. If 3 guys are jumping on you, you could die from that.
Yeah.
You absolutely could die
That's
from 3
deadly
guys jumping
force.
on you. Yep. And not only that, what if they knocked you down and they used deadly force on your girl?
Yeah, or worse.
You have someone you have to defend.
But there are actually people who will not kill, even in that instance.
Fine,
I mean,
don't. But don't tell me I can't carry. That's
exactly.
the argument.
Don't take away my
If you
right
don't-
to kill.
their little argument was, well, if you don't want an abortion, don't have one. Well, you're killing somebody.
Yeah,
okay?
that is murder.
You don't mind, but you don't want me to be able to carry my constitutional, God-given right to defend myself and my family and my country. So who is the coward here?
And actually, there is
they
no
want-
constitutional
and they
right
want-
to
and
abortion.
they want
No,
to-
there is no.
There is no constitutional
And they
right to
want to
abortion.
murder a child that they chose to create and void of rape. that
Yep.
they chose to, because there is no such thing as a mistake or an accident.
Well, even
no, because even if you use birth control, you know it is not 100%. It is not. It might be surprising, but it wasn't an accident.
You know what's 100% effective?
Mm-hmm.
Not having sex.
Not having it at all.
So if you don't have sex and someone gets pregnant, you could. All right, I could go. You could ask them to abort your child if you did not have sex.
And let's just jump back.
Okay? And it is.
Let's get all biblical on it. Okay.
Murder.
There are reasons that laws are in effect. Are they to? Basically, they are to protect you. In other words, don't do these things, and you'll be okay.
Yep.
Right? And if other people don't do these things, love your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
That's pretty easy, okay?
If
we all loved our neighbors as ourselves and we followed God's law, we wouldn't have any issues. But we have a sin nature, and we have people who have decided that they are rebellious to God. This individual made that choice.
Exactly.
And people paid the price. I think that we need to take a deep, hard look at what we allow in this society and start calling it out and start dealing with it as we should, because time is short, folks, and don't think God won't judge it. And this is my, here goes the prophet in me.
That's okay.
God is going to judge this nation. He would have judged it earlier had Trump had people praying for over 100 years, not for justice in this country, because they saw what was happening. Had they not prayed and asked God for his grace and his mercy and his justice to clean this out. And now we've got an opportunity to do it. So church, let me tell you something. If you're an anti-Trumper, you better just wake the heck up. Okay? Because here's the problem. Who are you? A man is known by his enemies. Who are Trump's enemies? The Wiccans? Pedophiles. Evil. Corrupt. Are you on their side? Because there's only two sides here. There's no gray area. And you better today seek who you're going to choose to serve. And folks, don't play. And I did this the other night, and you can watch me. I'm going to shut up. Watch my other podcast, and you'll hear me say something
What podcast number is that for you?
Okay.
What show number is that?
Go to YouTube, OOTG. Okay, stands for Out of the Gate, OOTG, because we got over the target and started talking about the CIA. And they nuked our channel. I mean, no strikes, no nothing, just deleted every video we had. Fortunately, we backed it up. And we deal with subjects from a Christian perspective, but it's things
Christian, you're a hate group.
Oh, well, I hate
hate group.
I hate sin. I'm not racist, but I hate sin. But I will tell you the truth, and we do tell you the truth, but we also deal with exposing pedophiles. We expose corruption in the government. We get people who have had horrible experiences being trafficked, sex trafficked, or satanic ritual abuse. We give them a voice on our show, and they get to share their stories. When you find out most of the people in the entertainment industry are into witchcraft or Kabbalah, same thing, or they've sold their soul, and that's it. I mean, the dark part is the entertainment industry, and they, in turn, have blackmailed our politicians because they've dabbled in it.
You know, it's so funny. Okay, so I watched this. There's this movie called The Ballad of Dewey Cox, and it's a parody on the.
I've been wanting to see
it is so funny. It's a parody on the. What is his name? Johnny Cash, Walk the Line.
Right.
So there's a scene where Dewey Cox, and it's all just hilarious and way over the top satirical comedy. So he busts in the room, and they're doing drugs, and he asks them, "Well, what are y'all doing here?" And they say, "Well, we're doing cocaine." He goes, "Well, what is cocaine?" And they say, "It turns all your bad thoughts into happy thoughts. It's a nightmare. You don't want no part of this shit." So, you know, I thought about that scene when I was watching a bunch of these liberal Democrats and these really rich movie stars and stuff that are preaching for socialism, and they're preaching Democrats. And I see them, and I think of that, like the American people bust in. "What are y'all doing here? We're being rich. It's a nightmare. You don't want no part of this shit." Because they'll tell you, like, hate the rich, but not us. We're cool.
Yeah.
You know, not us, but the other guys. They're the bad ones.
Yep.
Everything that we describe for you to hate, that's us too, but we're saying not us.
Yeah. Divide and conquer.
Yeah, I mean.
And then they will wish you the most disgusting things. Well, like if you're on social media and you start commenting, it does not matter how politically correct you stay. They will start wishing.
They're vile.
These are children we're dealing with.
Disgusting.
They're vile. They're like
They cannot sit down
13,
and have a
14-year-old
conversation.
teenagers.
But then if you come back at them,
you're racist.
Oh yeah, then they want to cry, and then they'll
Yeah.
start tagging their frids to cry about it, and it's like,
Or they'll
I
start
love it when they
reporting
do
you.
that. Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's like, hey, go ahead. Give me some, because I'm going to tell you the truth.
I want to make it
regardless.
clear. I have a Liberal Tears tumbler, and I also have a mug club. I'm part of mug club, and I have a Liberal Tears.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
I've kind of enjoyed it tonight, guys. I don't know if we need to wrap up or if there's
Yeah,
anything
we
else we need to talk
probably
about,
should.
but
Well, we went over the official timeline, and we squashed we debunked it. There was only one shooter.
Yep.
The red
well, we
truck.
confirmed that there's one
Confirmed.
shooter
Okay.
and debunked the multiple shooters.
Okay. And actually, at this point, as of this morning, I was hearing some news sources saying that they were still trying to put that to rest. They're still trying to put that to bed, which there's not 100% confirmation on yet, though. But as it looks, it was just one shooter.
Right.
There was just a lot of shit happening at the same time.
And like we talked about before when we were off the air, that really all hell broke loose. It was almost like
the lid just fell
spiritual
off.
thing
Yeah.
where the lid on the crazy jar fell off
Yeah.
and it broke on the floor.
And the red truck, that wasn't someone running
was a
from the
victim.
police. That was a victim. Original reports were that was a guy that was running and took his own life before the cops closed in on him. That's incorrect.
incorrect.
That was a victim. He was on his way to his job site, and it was one shooter, and it was one guy running from the cops in a blue Ford.
Yeah, which those weren't connected, and possibly an arrest at a Starbucks by a guy who was just an idiot.
Yeah.
And like I said,
Too many things happened at the same time, and it put everyone on high alert. And I will admit, I was one of the people that was.
well, that's what we were told in the media. So
We're told there's multiple shooters, and then we see multiple things going on, and we figure this is one of the shooters.
Could be connected.
And I was told by a lot of people, Chris, calm down. But it's like, hey, I am a journalist at this point.
Yeah.
And my job is to report.
you're right.
And
If there had been multiple shooters, you definitely want to warn people and
absolutely,
and bring them safety.
Antifa was making promises to attack between August 30th and September 1st. This falls right in the timeline of what they said.
Yep.
There were promised 10 days of mayhem. This falls right in the timeline. I'm not throwing accusations at Antifa, but what I was saying was that if it is Antifa, we need to know. If it is a staged attack, we need to know. That way no one goes outside. Stay inside,
Yeah.
stay safe. If it clearly wasn't, I was wrong, but I'd rather be wrong and spread word of, hey, keep your head down, stay safe.
Let's put it this way. You were wrong about the multiple shooters, as we all were, because that's the information we had to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because of this guy's dark side and his dealings, and because we know what side the deep state's on, let's not rule anything out until we find that we're only a day into this. We're
Yeah.
little over 24 hours into this.
They raided his multiple residences, and we'll see what we come up with.
Yeah, a lot more information is going to come out within the next few
Right.
days.
And we need
next
it.
few weeks.
But right now, all we need is your prayers.
Yeah.
No politicizing. What we're doing is just trying to put a cap on all of that. Really, if you have an opportunity in the area, the blood banks are asking you to please make an appointment. Don't just walk in, because they're having a lot of support. Want to thank the great folks from El Paso. We gave them a lot of support and donated a lot of blood when they had their incident. They have just turned around and turned into a real blessing for us too. Want to say thank you to them, and just we appreciate you so much.
And this has been a collaboration with WestTexas Podcast and OOTG. Check us both out. We're both on Facebook. We're both on YouTube. Check it out. And again, our newest member of the team, Ginger Rose here. Sorry that we have limited team members, but that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
That's special news, special circumstances.
Yeah. Spencer, again, thank you
thank
very
you.
much. It's been fun. And again, I mentioned it to begin with. I grew up listening to Spencer with his Fox Kids Club. Me and my brothers, we won a lot of his giveaways and stuff. It was great. I told my mom, Spencer. She said, Spencer. I said, Spencer. She said,
That
oh,
guy.
that's awesome. But that's the show, boys and girls. If y'all have any questions, feel free to get at us.
Yep.
And
We'd love to have you on our show too sometime.
absolutely. Sweet.
Very much. So please
Positive
join us.
vibes, and have the day you wish for others.
Yeah. Make sure you tell everybody you love them. And goodbye.
And if you have a gun, carry it.
Strap
Yeah,
up and get
that's
clapped.
Strap on. Oh, strap up.
Up.